even though we're in a serious arc, with so many things going on that you don't know what could possibly happen next with the real story of Gintama, there's still some time for some good comedy. And I love how the mangaka does not forget his roots when it comes to some of the main themes of Gintama, and that would be one of my favorite scenes of this episode when it comes to comedy, and that definitely was when Oddjobs turned the Shinsengumi into stairs, and they were going to walk up them to the top of the cliff. I laughed my ass off, but then there was even better scenes, like the scene where Kagura threw Sogo up over the wall, like trying to throw him on top, and then all of a sudden his head hit inside of the fucking stone cliff. I was laughing. And then Hijikata had that done to him, and then eventually payback was done to Kagura. Sogo grabbed Kagura and just threw her over. She hit the top of the cliff and just like busted her face to the top part of the cliff. So overall, just the comedy in this episode, I enjoyed it, and it definitely allowed me to remember what really got us into Gintama. A lot of us that started Gintama was because of the comedy, the happy-go-lucky moments, and it was definitely nice to see these type of scenes once again in Gintama, instead of just always serious mode, serious mode, serious mode. So it's definitely a breath of fresh air, to say the least. Now, besides that, let's get into it. How are you all doing, everybody? Hopefully all of you are having a good morning, good afternoon, or good night, because today I'm here to bring all of you, once again, another weekly anime review of Gintama. So, this episode, we have a lot of fights being set up. We have a fight with Gintoki versus Oboro, and then we also have a fight going on with Sogo, and then, Hijikata is running over to where Katsura and our favorite gorilla is at. Now, there's so many serious scenes set up in this episode, so many battles. I mean, it's a life or death situation, and I mean, Katsura is in a bad state, and this is the thing that I need to talk about. With Gintama now into serious mode, like, even though there is comedy, there is still a lot of seriousness to be had in this series. For instance, you still need to look at this series as if, holy shit, a character can die, because the last arc proved to us that this is no longer the same Gintama we started with. For instance, we're getting into the true story now, like the story that's been set up over time for many arcs, all these different arcs have been built up to this very point. And we had a death scene with, the Shogun. The Shogun died, and it was a very sad scene, and it let us realize that characters will be dying since we are entering the final part of the series. And so with Katsura taking a hit to the side like that, I'm actually worried, because there is a good possibility Katsura could die, and if Katsura dies, oh my god, I'd feel so sad. And I could see the mangaka pulling a joke like that, like, it's a dark joke, it'd be morbid, but I could see the mangaka doing that for one reason and one reason alone. Think about the ongoing joke of Gintama. It's always been about Katsura being on standby. He's always been on standby, and when he's not on standby, usually the episodes are fucking awesome. And for the first time in a very long time, Katsura is in a serious arc. He's like one of the main focuses, and with this arc, Katsura now took a mortal blow to the gut. And he could possibly die, because this is like one of the final arcs of the series. The way it's, going with the plot, you can't really turn back anymore. So I'm worried that Katsura, the ongoing joke of him being on standby, might be used against him and he might die. Like the first time he comes back in a long time, he could possibly die and be on permanent standby, which I hope not. I hope the mangaka isn't that cruel to do something like that, because that would make me sad. It would make me really fucking sad to see Katsura, one of my favorite characters, dead. Like, if he died, if he was killed off, I'd be sad. But, I mean, almost any character I'd be sad if they die, because there's a lot of good characters to Gintama, and the way they've been crafted, a lot of their backstory to characterization, I love so many of them. And so I am worried. I just hope, I just hope I don't lose one of my favorites. But if it does happen, at the very least, I hope Katsura goes down in style. But enough of that. Let's talk about some other scenes. So, the fated match between Gintoki versus Oboro, it's about to start, and that's the fight I'm looking forward to the most. I gotta be honest here, that's the fight I'm looking forward to after what we found out in the last arc, finally revealing Gintoki's past about what happened to his sensei, his teacher, and what happened to everybody's teacher, and seeing how, he had to do what he did in the past. It makes this fight so much more enjoyable, because it's been built up now. You have this build-up for this person that forced Gintoki to do what he did, and to see how this is all coming together now. You have these key fights that have been built up for a while now, for a long time, like hundreds of chapters, I'm assuming. It just makes this overall arc so much more enjoyable, and I cannot wait to see how it's going to be concluded, and how that bow is going to be kind of, tied on top of this entire arc. So, overall, this episode was mainly a setup, very good execution to a lot of these scenes, and it still retained a lot of comedy that Gintama is relatively known for. So, no issues there. It kept a very lighthearted nature with some great tone shifts, back and forth with some, funny humor along with, actual serious moments. And then we got a surprising reveal at the end of this episode with finding out that Yamazaki was a hooligan. He was a punk, pretty much. And when I saw Yamazaki, when I saw the character, like the green-haired character, I'm like, is that Yamazaki's voice? I'm like, no way. No fucking way. Like, there's no way that's him. There's no way in fuck. And as the episode carried on, and we get to the final scene, we get the voice, and, well, not the voice, we get the name reveal, and I'm like, what? Like, are you really telling me? Because the voice sounded similar, but I thought I was hearing things. But then I see Yamazaki, I'm like, my boy Yamazaki, he pissed himself, which that's very in character, but he was a punk like that, and the way he did Kondo, and I'm like, what? So, yeah, I mean, that seemed, I want to know more, and it seems like we are getting into a flashback, actually. If you look at the preview of next week's episode, we are getting into a flashback, which I think this is good, because, I mean, we're probably going to get a lot of information on a lot of our characters, how, the Shinsengumi was actually formed, and, probably, since this arc is called Farewell, I'm assuming that, this is probably going to be, like, how they were born, but then also their final goodbyes to their job description as, the Shinsengumi, because they need to have a new era. They need to change how the government works, so they're going to kind of go rogue for now until they officially change the government. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I can't wait to see how the flashback is done. I can't wait to see the certain fights that have been set up with this episode. Great episode of Gintama. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.